Welcome to my step-by-step video on Vision Metron FREEHUB service. To be clear, we'll be looking into a FREEHUB pictured on this screenshot of Vision's website. I've got this FREEHUB on my Metron 55 SL wheelset, which came with Merida Reacto 2020 bike, Shimano 11-speed drivetrain. As you can see from the screenshot, the FREEHUB also comes with other Vision wheelsets. Let's go! My wheelset has Vision PRA system, so it all starts with loosening the preload nut. Once it's loose, untighten the nut, and it will pull the end cap from the axle. With both removed, the axle is now sliding freely inside the hub shell. Pull the FREEHUB from the shell, and it goes out together with the axle. This FREEHUB has done 16,000 miles, but was already express serviced a couple of times. The first time I took it apart at 10,000 miles, and it had this much more grime inside. The first part to remove is the retaining ring. You can reveal it by squeezing with something sharp through the side openings. This way you find the spot where the ends of the ring meet. You then need to do a tricky thing. Grab one end of the ring while pushing it from the groove and take it out. Requires a bit of practice, but after several tries you'll have the ring in your hands. Now the pawls and the springs are free to go out, taking them one by one. Take a note of spring positioning in the slots. You'll need this later to assemble the springs back. This FREEHUB looks acceptable, and it could do a couple thousand miles more without causing any issues. The hub seal sits in a groove and can be easily removed by gently pulling upwards. The hub is now ready for cleaning. I start by wiping away major grime with tissues. Why not just clean a FREEHUB with a spray degreaser? There are bearings inside the hub. They are normally sealed, but the degreaser is still likely to get through and ruin them prematurely. I proceed with cotton swabs and isopropyl alcohol, but any degreaser would do just as well. Thorough cleaning takes some time and effort. We wouldn't go this far to leave half of the grime inside, right? Bit by bit, slot by slot, the FREEHUB gets back to shining. A toothpick helps to remove the most stubborn bits of grime. Should the slots be too tight for the cotton swab, just strip some cotton away and you are good to go. It actually took me just 3 double-sided swabs to get here. A quick spin to check for any grime leftovers. None. Nice job. It's time to wipe the hub seal with some degreaser and put it back. It fits tightly, thus go gently to avoid any damage. First, just halfway, and then all the way down to the seal groove. The inside lip is not likely to immediately fall into the groove by itself, so do help it carefully with a flat screwdriver. It might also be a good idea to replace the seal on an occasion. Don't worry if the seal still sits with some imperfections. It does the same on the absolutely new FREEHUB. Getting back to the pawls and springs. With no bearings around, it's perfectly safe to spray some degreaser. However, the grime on these small parts might be sticky enough to still require taking them one by one. The cotton swabs might make things easier again. The retaining ring also needs some attention. Now to the pawls. I use tissues here once again, but you might prefer rags instead. The small parts are clean and ready for assembly. Start with the springs, taking care of proper positioning them in the slots. Here I've unfolded all the springs and I'm giving them a quick spin to double check. Done. Folding them back in and proceeding with the pawls. Once everything is perfectly clean, you'll feel how smoothly the pawls slide into the slots. checking the spring work and proceeding with the rest. Let's look back at where we started, before and after. Isn't this satisfying? But wait, there's still a missing piece. The retaining ring. Squeeze the ends together and slide it into the groove. Check that the ring is firmly in place and it blocks all the parts from popping out. A nice upside-down shake might be a way to test it. Now to the greasing. There are opposing views on how to grease a FREEHUB. Some insist there shouldn't be any grease at all, since this provides the quickest pawl engagement. Others go for thin oil lubrication. The rest, including me, prefer some grease as the most lasting solution. There is no right and wrong here. It's just your own choice, which depends on usage and service conditions. I also prefer to fill with grease this groove on the outer lip of the seal. It's the most water-vulnerable point. Thus, some extra sealing might pay off. This time I apply finish line ceramic grease, but earlier I used other lithium and calcium-based thick greases with no complaints. Let's not forget about the hub shell. I'd say the chamber often keeps much less grime, but we still need to match our perfectly clean FREEHUB body. In absolutely the same way, I start with some tissues and then switch to cotton swabs with isopropyl alcohol or degreaser. By the way, it's a good idea to remove the brake rotor beforehand, otherwise you risk to contaminate it with some greasy bits and compromise braking performance. Disclaimer: some Vision products like this FREEHUB clearly lack official service manuals for the public. I share my service approach in an attempt to provide at least some information. If you have access to an official manual on this FREEHUB, please share in the comments.